Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me as I show you how to create a level sequence cinematic in Train Sim World PC Editor. My name is Josh the Tech, and I have been having a play with the PC Editor that came out recently, and I showed off an intro video showing a cinematic here in Reading Station on the Great Western Express route. And I'm going to go through some basics on how I did it, including the blueprint setup as well. Now, this video will not be a detailed explanation on level sequences. If you want a detailed tutorial, there's plenty available on YouTube. I'm going to show you one here that's going to be linked in the description and also available on the screen now. It's shown in UE5, but it does also apply to Unreal Engine 4. And it's a video by Beardgames. And also another video which is really good for how to make your shots look a bit more cinematic, which I used for a little bit of the inspiration for my cinematic, is by William Faucher, and that will also be in the description and on screen now. If you did miss those, you can also click the eye in the top right corner of your YouTube video window, and you should see those videos there, as well as I said, down in the description. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing off exactly what I've created. So let's select the viewport. We'll actually do it this way, play an editor. We'll wait for ages for it to load, as it usually does. And then you just get to see the intro cinematic with the music, and then I'll just show you the files that I used. Very, very simple, point A to point B camera. Not very much into it at all, really. Okay, so when the cinematic plays, it then finishes, cuts back to the player start for the scenario. In this scenario, it shows some subtitles, which has a silent audio file. You can have a voiceover here as well. And then I have my walk to markers, which are just placed on the map. So that is that. Okay, let's come out of that. So how is that done? So first off, I have a folder called camera sequences, and within there I created a new level sequence, and I think you can find that under, if I can find it, animation, I believe, and level sequence. When you load it up, you will get this little sequencer tab. I put it under the viewport just so I can easily control the camera. And then, as you'll see in the tutorials, you create a new camera. I've changed my focal length just to add a little bit of, difference to it, and then set my keyframes on my transformation, which effectively all I did. If we go back and forth, yes, let me just set this camera actor so we can see it. So, literally, just set the point there, flew over to where I wanted to go, down here. Obviously tested it in between because, as you would have seen, as I just completely mess up my sequence there, let's just do that. As you can see in the sequence, I wanted it to fly through this bit of gantry here, so there was a lot of fiddling to get that going. The reason why I didn't create an extra keyframe here is because sometimes that can create quite jolty cameras. So if you think about it, when you place your keyframes, you're placing a path. Let's just do a really bad example in Paint just to describe. So you've got your path, point A is here, and I want to go over to point B, and then yeah, you can have a path like that, but then if you create a new one in a different direction, it would be a sudden jolt going up, if that kind of describes a little bit. So it's just a standard point A to point B, kind of getting it right to let the path move quite smoothly, and you get a nice kind of slow finish down to the ground. The way I did the audio, I did it within the level sequence. I literally just dragged an audio track that I had already got in my files, in my dialogue, just dragged it in, and then it added it into the level sequence for me, so it's all combined. Save the level sequence, and then we use the magic of blueprints to actually activate this. So I go to my objectives blueprint here. The way I did it is I created a new component here, which is a wait component. But instead of actually setting the action to do the cinematic within the blueprint, which you can do. So if I scroll down here, you've got the cinematics here. I've added the delay of how long I want it to wait before it kicks off, because obviously I have that intro screen, the Electric Trials kind of intro screen, which you can configure within your blueprints. I'm not going to cover that here. But so when it fades, the cinematic is already starting, and it just, as you saw at the beginning, it just looks quite nice. So all I've done for this is set my delay up here. I've set how long I want the cinematic to last for in the success conditions. And I've obviously set the variable name as intro cinematic. I'll just slowly scroll down just so you can see how it's set. Obviously there's nothing really else that I've set here that I can remember anyway. There's obviously no need to set the objective name. I did hide the objective complete and notification because obviously we don't want that showing on the screen. And then also I believe there is an option somewhere that comes later on where we can hide the UI, which I'll show you shortly. So once I've done that, I've created this section here. So on event action did intro, where the intro cinematic is the active component. We want to get the player controller, and what this does is it allows us to lock the camera as we get before we actually play the level sequence. This is covered in another tutorial by Greg Ryan. I think I said that the right way around, or Ryan Greg. That is linked in the video as well. I'll put that in the description and put it on the screen now for you. Very, very useful blueprint tutorial. Really recommend checking it out. So we lock the player input for look and move, and then we create this level sequence player. Now, we don't need to configure anything on the details pane. We literally just right-click settings, and then obviously it's already set up, but you just need to click promote to variable here. Once you've done that, you'll get something called settings. Save and compile just to get all the information you need in the details pane. And all we do is we set to autoplay, and then I've also done the hide HUD, which hides the UI during this level sequence. And then here in the level sequence section here, we just need to set the relevant level sequence file that we created at the beginning. Now, we also want to unlock the player movements, so I won't detail this, but I'll just show it here. The reason why I've got intro brief selected here as the one to cause the unlock is because once we've actually set the subtitles up, that's when I want the unlock to happen. So to actually trigger the cinematic, we need to do it as part of our flow add actions. I've done mine as part of my will add service section. So when the service gets added, which is the player one, it will first add the intro cinematic action to the flow, then my intro brief, and then my walk to objectives, which we'll cover in another short tutorial video. Once you've added those, compiled your blueprint, and obviously defined your blueprint in your objectives in the Scenario Manager Actor class under objectives, in your definition, make sure your definition is set as play in editor scenario, and then you can go ahead and play it and then see your cinematic in action, which I'll do again. Hopefully it'll load a little bit quicker this time, but you'll be able to see how to do that. Now in the cinematic you see there's AI moving. This is all configured in the standard timetable mode or in the timetable window. Sometimes you have to fiddle about with getting your AI pretty close to the platform if you want to make sure they get caught in shot quite nicely, because obviously as soon as the scenario starts they will be moving. They'll set themselves up, they'll start moving. So you kind of have to play about with it, experiment, and kind of just make sure you get your shot exactly how you want it. And there we are. So let's come out of that. And yeah, play about the scenario, scenario creation with cinematics. You can add that at any time. You can use different objective criteria to trigger those cinematics in your scenario. And it'll be great to see what kind of stuff people can do. Any questions, do ask them on the Dovetail Games forums under the PC Editor section, and someone will try and answer them for you.